In this video, we're going to discuss CRA models for integer subtraction rules. And we really just have one main rule for integer subtraction, is that if we're subtracting a negative, we can think of this as adding the opposite. So we're adding, if we're subtracting a negative, the opposite of that would be a positive, so we're adding a positive instead. So we just have two examples we're going to look at for this. First one here, we have a positive 5, and we're going to subtract a negative 3. And we're going to look at our concrete model first, which is the two color counters. We have red and yellow on the 10 frame. So we have 5, we want to take away the opposite of 3, or take away, in this sort of context, take away 3 red counters. So again, our rule for this is we can think of this as just adding the opposite. So instead of subtracting negative 3, we think of this as adding positive 3, which would just be adding these 3 yellow counters. So with this concrete model, why we can just kind of do this shortcut and think of just adding positive 3 instead is, if we wanted to kind of take the long route, if we actually want to take away negative 3, take away 3 red counters, we'd need to add 3 0 pairs, and then we want to take away the 3 red, the 3 negative. So we take that away. What we're left with is 8. So again, this kind of shortcut method, we can think of this as just, instead of taking away 3 red counters, we can think this is adding 3 yellow. So just that one step. So again, why we can do that is because we end up with the same results, whether we do either strategy. Okay. So that's our concrete model, explanation of that rule. The representational model, again, we're starting at positive 5. Right, if we want to think this is subtracting negative 3, subtracting the opposite of 3, again, subtraction moves to the left, but we want to subtract the opposite, so that's moving to the right 3 units. Right. And the reason we can also think of this as adding the opposite is because that's the action that we actually did as well. Okay, so subtracting a negative and adding a positive both results us in moving to the right 3 units. So that's why we're able to kind of use that shortcut there. Okay, and then our abstract model for this, right, is we're just literally changing this from 5 minus negative 3 into 5 plus 3, because instead of subtracting a negative, we can just add the opposite of negative 3, add the positive 3 to get 8. Okay, so that's our first example. And our other example, so we're still subtracting a negative, but we're going to start with the negative 5 instead of a positive 5. So concrete model will have the counters again. So starting with the negative 5, we want to subtract a negative 3. Okay. So again, how we're thinking of this is we're just adding the opposite. So if we're going to think of adding the opposite, what we're doing is we're adding positive 3, and then these all form 0 pairs. So we can remove that, and that just leaves us with negative 2, or 2 red counters. So again, if we're not using just the shortcut, which actually in this concrete model, the shortcut might seem a little bit more confusing, but here if we have negative 5, we want to take away negative 3, that means we have 5 red counters, we want to take away 3. But the reason we can do either is because, again, it leaves us with the 2 red counters there. Yeah. And for our representational model, same sort of explanation as the previous one. We're starting at negative 5. Again, if we were to subtract, we're usually moving to the left, but we're subtracting the opposite, so we're moving to the right 3 units. And this action of moving to the right 3 units is the same as adding a positive 3. And then similarly, our abstract model is, again, we're just changing this into that minus a negative, we're changing it into plus 3, get 2.